Revelation 3142. From the 1st of June 1944. Legislator. Divine order. The law which God's love has given and which is based on divine wisdom must also reveal love and wisdom. The lawgiver must want to achieve something which is a blessing for his works of creation because he loves them. In wisest realization of the shortcomings of these creations, he must have determined the divine order such that these shortcomings will be remedied as soon as the creature observes this order. The latter applies to the stage when the being embodies itself as a human being, because in their preliminary stages the being in creation cannot help but maintain this order, since it is in a state of compulsion, in a state where its will is bound and the being is guided by God's will. Thus it has to comply with divine law. In the last stage, however, the beingness is able to recognize both the love and the wisdom of God. It is able both to live in the divine order and to violate it. But it also possesses the ability to intellectually recognize both the love and the wisdom of God, which is why it can easily remain in the divine order. But if it does not make use of the gifts of intellect by ignoring God's rule and activity, then neither divine love nor divine wisdom will become apparent to it, and then it will also not make an effort to fulfill the laws as it has been given to do during its life on earth. Then it will violate them and understandably cannot achieve the goal of becoming perfect and being granted eternal bliss by God. For the love and wisdom of God truly chooses the right means. And these are the creations which are based on divine laws. Every adaptation of this divine order on the part of the human being must perfect it, whereas a violation of it inevitably means a spiritual regression or standstill, depending on the manner of this violation. For man then transgresses against love and does not respect the wisdom of God. And for the beingness this means a renewed rebellion against God in the stage of free will which was given to him in order to finally join the eternal deity. Every word, every thought and every action must therefore be adapted to the divine order, which means as much as that they likewise have their origin in love and always acknowledge God's wisdom, otherwise they would be contrary to the divine order. The whole earthly life has to unfold according to divine order, then the being at the end of earthly life will clearly recognize both God's greater than great love as well as his unsurpassable wisdom, which wanted to help it achieve unknown glories and therefore gave an eternal law, the fulfillment of which will earn it those glories. This law can easily be fulfilled by beings embodied as human beings if they shape themselves into love. Then they will feel nothing as compulsion but only as the path to beatitude. In contrast, the unloving human being will feel every demand by God as oppressive and restricting his freedom and withdraw from fulfilling those laws. He will feel impelled to violate divine order, he will see neither wisdom nor love in it and constantly rebel against it, which is why he will never be able to reach the final goal. For God does not depart from his demands, which admittedly only extend to the last stage of embodiment, whereas in the preliminary stages there can be no talk of demands, but God's will, his legislation, rules all creatures. Thus the beingness cannot help but live in accordance with this divine order and thus fulfills the divine law in the must state. And nothing created will rebel against the divine order in these preliminary stages, for it has previously expressed its will before it became the respective embodiment. As a human being, however, its will is once again given freedom and God's counterforce seeks to win it over again. Thus God's opposing force presents the divine order to the human being as a constraint from which he should try to escape. But God has given him the understanding through which man can observe God's love and wisdom and thereby gain faith in God. But faith also instills in him the strength to live in the divine order, it instills in him the strength to be lovingly active himself and to no longer regard the law as compulsion but as a means applied in love and wisdom to gain eternal beatitude, and it will now be easy for him to fulfill this law. And therefore the human being must also answer for himself if he listens to the adversary's ideas, because he can use his intellect and would not use this gift otherwise he would have to recognize the untenability, the error of these ideas. However, the human will is free and neither love nor God's wisdom forces people to recognize when the will is not inclined towards him. Amen.